Yo, yo. You get to see me here. You get to see my hair here before I get rid of it in about 35 minutes. Got a haircut coming up soon. I don't really like having long hair. It means I have to comb it and I don't like it. But that's not why we're here today. That's not what we're talking about, dog. We are talking about not me coughing, but the Season 2 Mythic Plus changes. And these are changes I wasn't expecting, but yo, these are kind of sick. But here's the basic TLDR. They kind of talked about it. They talked about how one of the problems of Delves is that Delves made anything below a +7 kind of irrelevant because you'd get all your champion gear in Delves, and then you'd need hero track gear, so you just go to 7s. But then those people going, like you say here, often these players frankly lack the dungeon experience required to succeed at that level because those players weren't doing 2s and 3s and 4s and anything like that to like learn these dungeons, right? They were going from 0 to +7. And they kind of went, that's not great. How do we fix this kind of onboarding? Because it was kind of messed up. So they've made a couple like pretty specific changes here, and which are pretty great actually. Baseline Mythic, so Mythic 0 dungeons are now going to give champion track gear, so Delve track gear from each boss with a weekly instance lockout. That's actually really cool and really good for early on gearing, especially with new characters. It means you can actually, Mythic Zeros are actually very, very valuable on a new guy, and this full system will be valuable going forward. And they're actually changing it so Mythic Zeros are somewhat like difficult. So they want Mythic Zero to be an access point without it being like basically passed by. They're also changing the scaling. So the scaling is going from 10 to 7, which is actually pretty big, which means that previously, a +10 would be at 100%, right? But now a +10 with Fort and Tyrannical is only 84%, with that +7 scaling adding Fort and Tyrannical into the mix. So that makes 10s way, way easier. They're also changing that you can get hero track gear from +6s, making +6s more viable. They're changing Gilded Crest at base to +7s, so it makes 6s and 7s viable. And they're also changing where these affixes start. So the new affixes start... so there's no timer Mythic 0. The Xal'tas, Guile, Bargain, whatever starts at 4. And then you have Fort or Tyrannical, and then Fort or Tyrannical at 7 and 10. And then Guile, which also adds the negative 15-second penalty, the Challenger's Peril penalty, to Xal'tas Guile at this 12 level. So it makes this 12 level the level where you're like, okay, you're actually doing stuff, right? Okay, let's get serious about it. Where 10s are going to be significantly easier than before, so it's going to be significantly easier to get your hero track gear. And it also removes this negative 15 seconds per death penalty from the 7+ affixes, which was really negatively, because it was kind of a twofold problem, right? Where everybody had their gear, so to get better gear, they went into 7s. But because they didn't know the dungeons, they're going into 7s, not knowing the dungeons, and then at 7s, they're also getting doubly penalized with the Challenger's Peril affix at negative 15 seconds of death. So it like compounded on itself and made 7s even worse than what they should be. So that's kind of what they're doing, is they're restructuring the difficulty curve, as you can see in the new the +7 scaling here. So they've restructured the difficulty curve on top of adding removing the negative timer bonus on 7s and moving it to 12s, where all the like actual people that want to do that. So people that are doing this like weekly 10s, gearing up their characters, and just want to play the game, are just going to be able to play the game. They're going to have the weekly whatever Xal'tas Guile thing going on, but they're going to actually just be allowed to just play the game, not worry about the penalty. The negative 15 seconds per death thing isn't going to be there. So I mean, it'll be nicer for most of the player base, and for the people that were crushing that shit already, it doesn't matter at all. It's going to be the same. I think they've reduced, so the scaling, I don't know the exact scaling. I think 12s are easier than before now, because one of the things they did, instead of a 10% increase to enemy health, Guile will now include the timer penalty as death. So yeah. So they're removing the health and damage from Guile, and it's just the penalty. So even the even the difficulty curve of people wanting to get 12s is going to be less, and people going into 12s will then have that timer penalty, as well as they did add the new mount, right? So that new mount that they added, that was at, I think, Keystone Hero. Or is it Keystone Master? I don't remember. Oh, it says right, Keystone Legend. So they added that new mount at 2850 of that of Keystone Legend, right? I think that's what it's tied to, of 2850. But because of the new scaling and everything else going on, they've moved 2850 to 3K, which I think is like all-time 12s, maybe some 13s. But here's a really, really big change for people doing actually like 15s and 16s, whatever. This change is massive. The moment you hit the floor, so once a player has timed all dungeons at 13, the new floor will be 13. So their key can't fall below a 13. Once they get everything done at a 12, their key cannot fall below a 12. And so on for all key levels above 12. So once you're actually at a certain level, right? Once it's like, okay, I've done all 15s, your key cannot fall below a 15. That is crazy. That's awesome. Because nobody wants to go, because like, let's say something bad happens and now let's say just something bad happens, someone DCs, and now you have like an RCAR 15 that you're going to re-roll your other group's 15s with, but it drops to a 14 because of a DC and things suck, and it's like, fuck. Well, now you have to run the 14, but now you can't re-roll your... It really helps the whole homework key aspect of things. It's going to mean key re-rolling is going to be even more valuable, considering your keys can't fall below a certain level once you have timed it. But this is everything, right? So like, you need your Grim Batol at 15, your Necrotic Wake at 15. You need all of the keys have to be 15 for this new floor to enact. But this is a great change and is also awesome, really cool. One thing, okay, I don't want to say this because I don't know. I think that they're probably making the new mount at 3K with the Keystone Legend title. However, what they could be doing is they could be having Keystone Hero, Keystone Master, at 2500, at 2850 there's the new mount, and then at Keystone Legend is 3K. So the mount still might be at that 2850, and then 3K just might be the other achievement. But yeah, no, these are great changes, a way better difficulty curve. It's even nicer for the higher end dungeons as well. Helps the lower community. I mean, the upper community is going to push however high they can push anyway, so like, outside of some outlier spells and abilities that'll probably need to be tuned down. Like these are great changes for season 2 of Mythic Plus. People were down on it a lot, but no, these are really cool changes to see on how they've actually decided to tackle this Delve Mythic Plus difficult issue, where they're like, you know what, we're just going to make Mythic Plus better. Like, we don't need to make Delves worse. We just need to make Mythic Plus better. And also, since stuff like you can get Gilded Crest from 7s, it means that you can do that thing where even if you are doing Delves and you upgrade everything with Rune Crests, getting into 7s will be way easier, way less restrictive, as well as now you can farm 7s for your hero track gear, you can get Gilded Crests at 7s, it's just way better overall for the player base in general. For higher end players, it's not really going to change anything for them. If anything, it's going to make selling like 10s, it's going to make selling 12s or the new mount easier. It's going to make selling higher keys easier, especially like, imagine if you just get, like you can just sell 15s over and over again, and your key will never deplete no matter what happens, which is crazy good. So yeah, it'll be good, man. I think these changes are great, actually. Like this bottom change specifically is actually crazy good. So yeah. Good changes. I'm gonna go get my haircut. Bye-bye.